Ken was just your average guy, busting his ass in college, chasing dreams like everyone else. After another soul-draining day, he jumped on his favorite game, just trying to squeeze out a little dopamine. But guess what? He actually gets sucked into the damn game. At first, it seemed like a W. He thought he got reincarnated as the most overpowered main character ever. That is, until he saw himself rocking a trash-tier outfit and immediately decided, yeah, nope. Next thing you know, he ends up stuck in the body of the weakest demon lord imaginable. But the real circus starts after that. Standing in front of a gang of bloodthirsty monsters, Kim drops the most insane announcement ever. They're ditching war and starting a farm. Spoiler, the monsters didn't vibe with that. Not only did they turn against him, they also started plotting to bury him 6 feet under. Now the real question is, how is our guy going to survive this jacked up game? Let's find out. The manhwa kicks off with a monster introducing himself as Kim Jang, a former grad student from Korea who just yesterday became the Demon King Kratos, the final boss of his favorite game. His mission is to awaken an ancient hero who had fallen asleep, but he skips the usual story recap because things are about to get real weird. After getting a quick update from his level 15 aide Zep that the war preparations are ready, Kim finds himself facing a demon army, hyped up and ready to charge. Asura the prince who drinks blood, Sergei the cold monarch, Archuk Hartok, and Bo the black boulder Tyran all roll in. Now that's one terrifying lineup. Everyone starts cheering for their demon lord, but our boy quickly shuts them up, telling them the war has to be stopped no matter what. He drags out his first official order, talking super slow to keep everyone hanging on. Plot twist. The mission isn't about fighting. It's about farming. Forget the invasion. They're planting potatoes instead. Everyone goes quiet for a second, then they all start shouting that the plan is totally nuts. He yells back, trying to keep it together. Somehow, it actually works. The tension builds and he finally breaks it down, explaining that if they go through with the war, they'll all lose. Meanwhile, a man grips the coffin's edge as a status window pops up, showing it's his 20th run. He's a level 9,990 character named Age Kimchi. Kratos mutters that he's definitely going to die by his hands. Dreaming of becoming a wealthy farmer, Kim had worked his way to the top at Korea University, only to be used as a workhorse by professors. Burned out and drained, gaming became his only escape. He got hooked on Paladin of Blood, a brutal game nobody had cleared 19 times, until he did. After beating the Demon King Kratos and hitting level 9,990, he was just 9 levels away from maxing out, wondering how much of his life he'd burned grinding. Finally, he hit the 20th run. His screen lit up and boom, he got sucked into the game. Falling from the sky in soul form, he spotted the Tower of Life and the Tomb of the Paladin. If he could just possess Age Kimchi's body, he'd basically be unstoppable. But no. Instead, he found himself stuck in a magical girl outfit, totally panicking. Before he knew it, his soul went rogue and dived straight into the Demon King's body, and that's how he landed in this nightmare. Kratos mumbles that the ridiculous outfit ruined everything and blames his weird focus on Age Kimchi for missing the perfect chance. Meanwhile, Zep overhears the other demon lords plotting to take Kratos down, thinking he's weak. Hartok warns them that if they're wrong, most of them won't live to regret it. Sari says they'll give it a shot if Asura agrees to step in as their shield. Meanwhile, Bull's just munching away, totally zoned out. Asura insists they need to find proof first. Everyone's on board with that except for Bull, who's just chilling. Zep tells Kratos that morale has hit rock bottom. Demons are turning on each other, some have just bolted without a heads up, and the 4 big generals are super angry. They think he's weak and are planning to take him out. Kratos realizes he's in deep trouble if they all decide to attack, but if he shows any weakness, he's done for 2. He starts to wonder if Age Kimchi is just a lifeless shell, since he didn't take control of it, and thinks maybe it'd be smarter to bail out to the human world. Just then, Zep says that General Ogmia sent over a video from the Tomb of the Paladin. On the orb, they see Age Kimchi straight up beating someone down, taking their time gouging out the poor guy's eyes while he screams. Kratos watches in fear as Age Kimchi stares at the camera with a recording device. He panics and decides he must stay hidden. If he shows any weakness, the demon generals will kill him. If he runs away, Age Kimchi will find him. Feeling trapped with no way to relax, he thinks the best way to survive is to keep the demons fed and calm. As Kratos gets ready to leave, Zep asks him where he is going. Kratos replies that he is checking a farmland. Zep, feeling strange about Kratos' sudden politeness, tells him not to act like that again. Even Kratos feels confused. He remembers Zep's odd role in the game, a minor character who popped up once before the showdown with the Demon King. Even though Zep was just level 15 and got taken out pretty fast, he became a fan favorite for asking the paladin to spare Kratos. This left players scratching their heads, wondering if he was actually loyal or if he sold his lord out. As Zep talks on and on, Kratos says he thinks Zep is annoying and doesn't care what others think. Zep jokes about Kratos trying to farm in the land of demons, saying that his memory is the real problem. Kratos reminds Zep that he is the demon lord and warns him not to push it. However, Zep continues to tease, making Kratos wonder why he isn't afraid. In an open field, Zep points out that even past demon lords, himself included, tried farming here and totally failed. The harsh climate wipes out everything. Kratos knows it's called the Land of Death, but with his powers, he thinks he can turn things around. Farming aside, surviving is what really matters. He grabs a handful of dirt and just eats it. Zep complains that the demon lords have turned strange and now eat dirt. Kratos tells him to stop recording, but Zep says he is just doing his job and teases Kratos about his memory. Kratos calls Zep a pain and points out the real issue. The soil is completely barren and there's no nitrogen, so no crops. Plants cannot use the nitrogen that fills the air because it has strong triple bonds. Humans have addressed this issue with chemical nitrogen fixation, but there is no such infrastructure here. Instead, he will depend on nature's fixer like lightning. Its high voltage breaks nitrogen bonds, changing it into nitrate, which rain carries into the soil. Luckily, Kratos' main technique is very effective at triggering this process. Thanks for the chemistry lesson, he mumbles, then scratches his hand hard enough to draw blood. It drops to the ground and immediately activates Bloody Strike, releasing a mix of lightning and moisture that helps the soil thrive. Kratos tells Zep to step back and tries to repeat it, but Zep yells in pain and says he can't do this every time. When he turns around, he sees the 4 great generals watching. They all agree he has gotten weaker, except for Baal, who just stands there like a stone-faced statue. Kratos freaks out, and Zep tells him he's gotten weaker. Thinking Zep's an assassin trying to push him into a mercy kill, Kratos figures it's better than dying slowly. He cuts his hand, throws some blood, and shouts, "Bloody Strike." Instead of using his powers, Kratos just stands there bleeding, holding his hand and hopping around like it hurts. As the 4 generals get closer asking if he's okay, he realizes that this is about to get really messy. The scene changes to aged Kimchi, who looks into the distance. He still feels reminders of his past life after living through this world more than 10 times. He once served the Demon King, but that obligation is now gone. No longer a playable character, just an NPC, he wonders what he should live for now. As they get closer to the demon territory, Asura brings up the demon's rule. The toughest one becomes the boss. Kratos, shaking with fear, starts to doubt himself, thinking he can't even use his skills and wonders if this might really be the end for him. Asura thinks Kratos is just getting pumped up for the fight, so he ends up giving him some props for building up his energy before it even kicks off. He's sweating bullets but trying to keep it cool, asking if Kratos really believes he can take on all 4 of them. But when he turns around, he spots the others hiding behind a tree again, and it makes him wonder what's up with them as they're just waiting to see if the fight is even worth it. Asura starts sweating and says that demons are truly evil, and it's just how they are. At the same time, Zep raises his hand and starts live-streaming the fight to the demon world. He reminds everyone that according to demon tradition, all battles must be to the death with no surrender. Asura tries to calm Kratos down, saying he'll totally win if they weaken the enemy. But Kratos is freaking out, not sure what to do. He knows a demon lord should be super strong, but this one doesn't seem that scary. When Asura lifts his arm with a blade, Kratos recognizes the move from the game. It is either a thrust or a slash, and he thinks there is no way he can dodge it. But somehow, he manages to avoid it, surprising even himself and wondering how he pulled it off. Kratos watches Asura's stance and notices his left foot turned out. It's a clear sign of a thrust, just like in the game. As Asura backs off, Hartuk and Sergei whisper, wondering why Kratos didn't just tear Asura's arm off like he clearly meant to. Sergei says they should keep watching. Asura charges again, but Kratos dodges, still confused about how every move matches the game exactly. When Kratos first met Asura in the game, he felt overwhelmed. Asura was fast and unpredictable, and he used many different attacks. Kratos died 128 times before he finally defeated Asura. After that, he learned the fight and was able to win without getting hit in his next 19 playthroughs. As Asura charged and screamed, Kratos realized this was the perfect moment. He knew every move before it happened and even started laughing. Hartuk and the others watched in fear as Kratos mocked Asura, dodging his attacks effortlessly, like he was playing with him. Hartuk grumbles that Kratos is just mocking Asura for his weakness, and the whole thing feels a bit too good to be real. Teeth clenched, Asura calls him a jerk. Kratos dodges again, letting out a sigh of relief, but he knows it doesn't really mean he's won. What really matters is the big reveal. This world works just like the game. A status window pops up to confirm it. It's definitely not clean and the guy needs to get tested as Asura gets hit by the lightning attack. The others watch in shock, thinking Kratos has become weaker. Asura drops to his knees while the rest start cheering for Kratos behind the screen. Kratos looks down at the coughing Azurat, surprised he's still alive after such a strong attack. Believing Azurat will recover quickly, Kratos casually strums his wrists like a guitar, launching attack after attack. The others think he's just playing with him. Kratos stands there, confused about why he can't defeat Azurat. A message appears saying he has removed all of Azurat's clothes, leaving him naked. Kratos groans and insists he's not a pervert. The system gives him a new feature, armor removal inventory. He hopes for good items but only finds his own worn-out gear. Kratos realizes that Azurat heals faster than he can deal damage. He knows he can't win by brute force. Since Azurat is still alive, he decides to keep targeting him and keep using bloody strikes. Kratos spots a chance to boost the nitrogen in the ground and can't help but feel like a genius. He notices the others look pretty freaked out, so he figures he should give his idea a shot. He shouts over to Sergi, telling her to tie up Azurat. She totally misreads the situation and starts blushing, thinking he wants to embarrass a guy who's almost naked. But it's all part of his plan. Step 1. Use Azurat as a lightning rod. As Azurat's color comes back, he starts yelling that he's fully healed and ready to chop off Kratos' head now that he's weaker. Time for Step 2. Kratos starts spamming bloody strikes to oxidize the nitrogen into nitrate. He tells Hartok to cover the place in fog so thick it'll basically turn into a river. Hartok gets things totally wrong, thinking it's some kind of creative trick to make the lightning hits hurt more, and he actually admits he picked up something new. He crosses his arms and starts the spell. As the fog gets thicker, raindrops start to fall, and that's Step 3. Then comes Step 4, a bunch of lightning strikes. As Kratos zaps him, he ends up zapping himself too. Zep just stands there looking blank while the others stare in shock. Even Azurat looks freaked out as Kratos grins like a maniac, rambling on about making the perfect farmland and getting a superabundant harvest. Kratos keeps zapping Azurat until he's happy with it. He grabs a handful of dirt, nods, and thinks this works, just needs more nitrogen and better soil. Then he goes on about how loose malevolent soil traps water and blocks oxygen, making it useless for farming. Now he just needs some manure. He tells the others to go grab some, leaving them drenched in blood and rain, completely shocked that after frying Azurat, he's planning to smear him with poop, which they all think is insane. On the other side of the world, aged Kimchi is wandering through a forest when he suddenly hears some cries for help. He ducks behind a bush and spots two figures, clearly Tamu versions of Lloyd and Javier. As they plead for help, they look up at Kimchi's scary outfit and flinch. He tries to calm them down, insisting he's not a threat, but they definitely aren't convinced. Kimchi asks if they hurt their leg and then casually lifts Tamu Javier, who freaks out. He tells Tamu Lloyd to take the lead. As they walk, they introduce themselves and their names are just Javier and Lloyd spelled backwards. When Javier nervously wonders if Kimchi knows who he is, Kimchi responds, "That's what I'm about to find out." Back in the demon world in the castle, the three big generals are hanging out at their tables. Hartok is wondering out loud how they are supposed to bring poop and if they are really expected to do that right here. Sergi is nervously biting her nails and mutters that this whole thing is just crazy and gross. Ball pipes up, saying he hasn't eaten yet, so he isn't going anywhere, and he points out that Serbi hasn't eaten either, which earns him an annoyed look from her. Hartok laughs and says even if they could, he's not giving up on his own. Instead, they should just beat up some low-ranking demons and make them do it. The scene shifts to a village on the edge, where a guy is begging to be let go, saying he can't go with everyone watching and asking them to wait outside. One demon starts to mention that someone else used the same excuse, but before he can finish, Hartok cuts him off, demanding to know what's taking so long and if the guy can't just get it together. The guy confesses he hasn't eaten in days and has nothing to offer. Hartok grabs him by the throat, saying he just had a bright idea, and right before he's about to kill him, Ball jumps in and stops him. Hartok wants to know what's up. Ball takes his time and explains that if the guy bites the dust, there will not be any poop, and that is what they really need, so they have to keep him alive. Hartok reluctantly agrees that Ball makes a good point for Ball anyway, and then suggests feeding the guy some meat to speed things along. They start staring each other down, ready to throw down, and the poor guy gets sucked into the chaos. Kratos shouts, demanding to know what's going on, and reminds them that even humans and demons have to deal with their business. Back at the castle, he explains that useless stuff isn't going to cut it, as they need manure that's packed with nutrients. When Zep asks about manure, Kratos explains it's basically a mix of wood ash, weeds, dirt, eggshells, and chicken poop, all of which help plants grow. The wood, ash, and weeds can be found from those abandoned houses you saw earlier, but the tricky part is finding eggshells and chicken poop. Thinking on his feet, Kratos asks Zep for a map. Zep quickly grabs it, and as Kratos checks it out, he realizes it's exactly like in the game. If he is right, the spot he is after where the demon seagulls hang out is close by. In the game, demon seagulls are everywhere munching on the rich lands and leaving their eggs and a ton of droppings behind, which makes it a perfect spot. Zep asks if Kratos is actually planning to collect seagull poop. Kratos gives him props for picking up on that, but Zep warns that the place is called the cliff from which one cannot return. The shaky ground and rough waves make it super dangerous. Kratos thinks he can pull it off. He knows it was never meant for players to reach, but he's feeling good about climbing it. Everyone's gathered below, and Hartok's wondering what's running through his head. A bunch of people have tried and gotten wiped out by the waves. Kratos is all set to scale it, grab the poop and eggshells, and toss down a bag. If it goes as planned, they'll all be in for a nice meal. Ball starts thinking about how skinny and underfed the villagers are. He may not be the brightest, but he's a genuinely nice guy. While the waves crash below, Kratos remembers how, in his 13th playthrough, he died tons of times trying to climb this cliff. Jumping forward, the others are surprised he's just diving right in, but Kratos is feeling good about it. He's done this before. Kratos lands on the crumbling cliff and grins, saying he's about to exploit a glitch. As the ledge starts to crumble, everyone thinks it's over until Kratos quickly takes off all his gear. Thankfully, the details are unclear, but there he is, hanging on the rock with nothing but his bare skin showing. The others stare in shock. So do I. It's a skilled speedrun move. Kratos says he needs to roll his body. As he begins to turn, Sergi closes her eyes and screams, already regretting that she looked. Kratos quickly puts on his gear, but soon takes it off again and goes back to showing off his bare backside. He keeps rolling and re-equipping as he makes his way up the cliff, his bare cheeks on display the whole time. Eventually, he grabs the top ledge, stands up all geared up, and shrugs it off like it was nothing. In a place where there's no gear to keep track of and the map just stops at weird edges, he figured it out and showed it could actually be done. Just like those earlier tests in the bedroom, no holds barred. Feeling inspired, Bell decides that since His Majesty said he'd take care of them, he's going to climb up and pitch in too. Zep tries to tell Bull that the cliff is super risky, but Bull just ignores him and goes for it. He reaches for the ledge, but the cliff gives way under him. Luckily, Kratos spins around and manages to catch him by the family jewels. Ball's totally naked because of that glitch, and Kratos is cursing under his breath while trying to hold him up, wondering why the guy's so damn heavy. He starts to question why he's even bothering to save Ball. After all, he's one of the 4 demon generals, and Kratos would probably be better off without him. Just as he thinks about letting him drop, he remembers a time when a buddy of his pleaded for help against a professor who was making him redo his essay over and over, trying to drown him in work. Kratos reluctantly realizes he can't just let Ball slip away. He remembers a time when his friend really needed his help, thinking the professors would actually listen to Jankiel, the top slave student. Kratos was too worried about keeping his own status and ended up turning him down, leaving his friend in tears. If he just tried a little harder back then, maybe he'd be looking back on his friend's memory with a smile instead of all this regret. He grips Ball's hand tighter and promises that this time will actually be different. Letting out a loud scream, Kratos pulls Ball up. His arm aches under the pressure, but he doesn't stop until he finally swings Ball over his head and tosses him onto the cliff safely. Ball lands without a hitch, and Kratos scrambles up after putting his armor back on. A bit shaken, Ball can't believe Kratos went through all that trouble and hurt himself just to save him. He asks why he even bothered. Kratos is still catching his breath. He says it hurts less than abandoning a follower, and he does not want to regret his choices again. Ball starts shaking and tearing up while Kratos thinks about how much he regrets his past mistakes. A system window appears, explaining that even though he is not fully adapted to his new abilities, Kratos used all of his strength to save Ball. As a reward, a new system is unlocked. He can earn points by making his army truly happy. Kratos observes that the game takes happiness seriously and calls it the Happy Point Accumulation System. Kratos remembers the name Happy Point as a way to get discounts on ice cream, but he starts to wonder if ice cream even exists in this world. The status window jumps in and straight up says no, asking what kind of game world would have ice cream anyway. Kratos can't believe he's actually chatting with it. The window explains that for every demon soldier he makes happy with a full belly, he hits a happy point, which he can use to level up his stats. Since he's only tapping into 20% of his full strength right now, it suggests he should boost all 5 stats to hit that 100% mark. When Kratos checks out how much it costs to boost his stamina by 10%, he sees it's going to set him back 50 points, and man, that's steep. Upgrading Bloody Strike, that's a whole 250 points. He realizes he can't afford anything yet, but if he plays his cards right and farms enough, he can rack up points, get stronger, and boost his chances of survival. Plus, getting a genuine thank you from Bull feels pretty awesome. So without a second thought, he casually smacks Lloyd in the face. Bull thinks Kratos looks tough enough to tear him apart if he messes up, and he's pretty sure he didn't get saved out of pure kindness. Kratos shouts for everyone to get ready, then he grabs some poop, stuffs it into an eggshell, and chucks it off the cliff, splattering everyone with muck. Really getting serious about farming, he talks about the first step in making manure, collecting and grinding all the stuff they need. He tells Sergei to start mixing the ingredients. She complains, saying she's the cold monarch and shouldn't have to do this, but Kratos reminds her that she has extra arms and no real excuse to back out. When he suggests giving her an even worse job like Asura's, she quickly agrees and starts crying as she works. Kratos thinks he can't chill around the fiery generals, but tells himself that as the demon lord, he just has to push through with some guts and determination. Next, he says they need some moisture, so he tells Hartuk to whip up some fog. Hartuk grumbles about it making the smell worse, but one look at the strum of Asura has him doing what he's told without arguing. Kratos checks in with Bull to see if it's wet enough, and Bull says the mix has softened just like they planned. Kratos explains that they need to dry it out and pile on some seagull feathers, but making enough manure to cover the land is going to take ages unless he gets every demon on it. Even though something about the plan bothers him, he knows he has to move forward and assert his power as the demon lord. In the demon village, a dad is sitting by his daughter Flute's bedside. She pleads with him to eat her so he can survive, but he shuts that down right away, telling her not to say things like that. Flute starts crying about how much she misses her mom. He remembers the day a huge demon attacked and her mom gave her life to save Flute, dying right in front of them. Trying to hold it together, he tells Flute that without her, he wouldn't have any reason to keep going. The door swings open and Kratos enters. He sees the man can still shout and orders his capture. The man pleads for his daughter, Flute, warning that the higher-ranked demons will eat her if they leave her behind. As Bull pulls him away, Kratos asks Zep for a head count. Zep says they have 20 but still need 30 more. Kratos looks back at Flute, who's crying, and remembers when she was just some enemy called the girl demon in the game, someone he took down without thinking twice. But seeing her like this hits him hard, and he knows he can't just brush it off. He announces that from now on, they can't eat their own kind anymore and tells Sephiroth to round everyone up because they've got to get to work making manure. Kratos knows he's the demon lord, and sometimes you've got to be a little ruthless to hit your targets. A leader has to make some tough calls. Meanwhile, out in the fields, Flute's dad, Dirok, is hammering away at his work, grumbling about wasting their energy on fruitless farming day after day. His buddy tells him to keep it down unless he wants to get himself in trouble. Dirok shoots back that even if the land gets better, they've got nothing to plant anyway. Kratos hears a conversation and asks Dirok to follow him. He shows Dirok a purple flower he saw earlier and explains that they will plant its roots. Bull and the others have already dug up several of these plants. Dirok recognizes the plant and warns that its roots can cause extreme pain and even death if eaten. Kratos calmly insists that there is no other choice and that the experiment should be ending soon. Dirok, panicking, asks what Kratos means. Kratos explains that his daughter Flute is eating it right now. Horrified, Dirok runs home, fearing the worst. He finds Bull and Zep with Flute. She smiles and says she feels fine and is full. Dirok shakes as he asks if Flute is really okay. She nods and says they fed her the same food yesterday and she felt no pain. Kratos tells him to believe it, explaining that long ago, humans changed a poisonous plant into a lifesaver, which became the potato. Flute, feeling grateful, says she cannot believe someone would show such kindness to lowly demons and thanks him sincerely. The system window tells Kratos that part of his demon army is feeling happy from eating, and that he scored his first happy points. When he sees Flute smiling, he recalls how miserable she was in the game, and it hits him that this is way better. Feeling a bit pleased, he thinks there's no rule that says a demon lord has to be serious all the time. He tells Flute to eat up and get strong, but his version of being nice comes off so creepy that the others assume he's just fattening her up to chow down on her when all he really wants is for her to be okay. The scene shifts to the demon lord's territory. The deepest part, Chav is divided into 5 areas and is in the toughest zone, where it gets freezing at night and super hot during the day, kind of like the Andean highlands. Back in the day, people managed to survive there by figuring out how to make poisonous wild potatoes safe to eat, a real testament to humanity's stubborn will to live. All the potatoes are laid out, and Kratos tells Bale to crush them. Bull screams loudly, leaps up, and stomps the potatoes flat. Kratos explains that by freezing the potatoes for 5 nights, melting them during the day, and then stomping them, the poison leaks out and evaporates. After repeating this process, they dry, store, and lightly cook the potatoes to make them safe to eat. Kratos tells Zep to gather the farming team because it's snack time and they should enjoy the treat. The demons line up like a row of minions. Kratos warns them there isn't much, so they can only take 2 each. Zep points out that there are plenty of potatoes left and asks if they can make more, but Kratos says it's still not enough to feed the whole army. They must plant the rest and grow them 1,000-fold. The demons are worried because their relatives once died after eating these poisonous roots. Daruk tells them that he and Flute ate the roots and were fine. The demons still doubt him and think Kratos looks menacing and wants them to suffer. Despite their fear, Daruk eats a root, chews, and swallows it. When nothing happens, he shouts, "Long live the demon lord," and the others start eating too. After seeing Daruk eat without any issues, the farming crew quickly digs into their potatoes. Once they realize they're good, they start chanting Kratos' name and giving him a salute. Kratos isn't really into the chant and thinks he'll change it up later. Zep watches him and thinks that with that confident vibe, maybe Kratos actually can put an end to the hunger that's been hitting their land. Since part of the army is in a good mood, Kratos picks up 50 points, bumping his total to 51. He grins, thinking it's a solid start, and starts to wonder which stat to level up. Meanwhile, Zep gathers everyone together and tells them to spread the word around the village. They can now farm edible food, and any demons who dig up wild potatoes will score food vouchers that they can trade for cooked potatoes. Kratos says Zep is as smart as he seems. Annoying but very helpful. The villagers are busy digging up potatoes. One group focuses on farming while others make manure. We see the minions dragging Asura around to prepare the next area. Asura gets beaten repeatedly to produce nitrogen. Kratos decides they have enough manure now and need to spread it across the land. However, the area is too large for the tired farming team to cover. As Asura begs to die, Kratos hits him again and thinks that, despite everything, Asura is still a strong general. Maybe they will just have to wait, though Kratos does not say what they are waiting for. Back at the castle, Kratos asks Zep if he really asked the Star Masters for more troops. Zep confirms he did and explains that he sent messages to all 4 Star Masters, asking them to stop attacking and send troops to help with farming, but none have responded yet. Kratos wonders if the messengers became too weak from hunger, feeling frustrated that it is hard to spread manure with so few people. At the Cliff of the Dead, a man kneels and reports that Kratos has started farming and even produced food. Another man laughs and says that Kratos must be afraid of him because his power increases with each demon he kills. He believes that farming is just a way for Kratos to prevent deaths and make him weaker. We meet the first Star Master and father of the dead, Surtithal. He asks his messenger if he's taken care of everyone sent to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th star areas. The messenger says yes, and that the other Star Masters still have no clue about the war being stopped or the farming. Surtithal smirks and says the demons all have to starve to death first, only then will they become his food and his army. That he'll finally kill Kratos and become the demon lord. Oh, and we find out the messenger's name is Ficamir. Surtithal tells Ficamir he wants him to destroy everything related to farming that Kratos has set up. Ficamir's all smiles at the idea. Cut back to Ashurat being hung up, and Ficamir is talking about how ruthless Kratos is as he turned Ashurat into a living corpse just to make a point. He reassures Ashurat, saying Surtithal loves his aggressive approach, and once Kratos is gone, Ficamir will take him in. Then Ficamir summons some wraiths, orders them to wreck the land so it can never be used again, and they start tearing everything apart. One of them mentions that this is the manure the scout demon talked about. Ficamir laughs and says it's a great idea to spread the manure all over the land. He thinks they should reuse it and make sure to mix it into the ground well, so that not even a little bit is visible above the surface. He continues to laugh and howl, but Ashurat just looks in disbelief at how absurd this situation is. Zep asks Kratos what they should do, and Kratos tells him they need to grind the manure really fine and mix it into the soil. But the farming squad can't pull it off since the wraiths were handling that for them. Ficamir is just sitting there laughing, saying it's all over for him now, while Asur is left wondering what the heck they're trying to accomplish by helping out. After a while, one of the minion wraiths gets fed up and says there's no end to this. The others start telling him to quit being lazy, reminding him that if there are any patches left, Kratos will just turn them into farmland. One wraith points out that number 2718 is actually putting in a lot of effort today, even though he usually slacks off. 1341 agrees and says it is true, but he's not sure why and just feels really proud when he sees all the work they have done spreading the manure around so it cannot be used. It makes him feel like he's actually accomplished something. 2718 looks around and can't help but think he's such an idiot. Some of the other minions get hyped up too, saying they'll join in on the idiocy today and that they've really nailed this whole thing. The sun starts to come up, and they realize they lost track of time because they were so busy, and now they're gonna bite the dust. But honestly, dying like this isn't the worst since they were so productive. In the end, they all meet their end after putting in some serious work. Ficamir, holding an umbrella, is in tears, saying they did it and hoping they can finally rest somewhere nice. Now he's curious to see how Kratos is going to react. The scene switches to a small warehouse where our guy is saying that tilling the field took way longer than he thought, but they didn't help much either, so now all these potatoes are just chilling in a dormant state. Zep asks what that means, and Kratos explains that they won't sprout. Even if they plant them, it's pointless, like pulling a potato out of the ground while it's just sleeping. The potatoes end up fainting from the shock, and their biological clock hits pause. To wake them up faster, they need to keep them for about 2 or 3 weeks at 4 degrees Celsius, then move them to a dark, warm spot. They want Sergei to give them a boost with her cold energy, but she's really mad right now, and Hartok is scheming too. So our guy has to dodge those two teaming up, and he better come up with another plan. It's cool to bump the storage temperature up to about 23 degrees, so they had the farmers' soldiers do squats, but they got tired real quick, so that didn't go so well. Our boy decides he's got to handle things himself, telling Zep they'll head straight for the farms and he'll just do what he can for now. His main goal is to get some nitrogen into the soil, but when he arrives, he finds manure spread out all over the field, with a suet up on the cross. He's pretty confused about what's happening. The dirt's all mixed up, and the smell is overwhelming. He wonders if everything's ready for planting and what kind of miracle has gone down. Ficamir is laughing from a distance, saying he can't believe how our boy is reacting. Then Bale shows up from behind a tree, catching Ficamir trying to sneak a peek at the scene. Baal grabs him and brings him forward, saying he's hiding. Our boy recognizes Ficamir as one of the bosses from the Cliff of the Dead and questions if he just showed up here on his own after hearing about the need for backup. Kratos chimes in, asking what Ficamir is doing there, and Ficamir starts freaking out. In the heat of the moment, our boy punches him in the face and Zep pipes up, asking why he's hitting him before he even gets a chance to explain. Kratos says it looked like he was trying to hide something, and beating people up is the most efficient way to deal with that. Ficamir kind of saw this coming from the Demon King, but he wasn't about to spill the beans so easily. Our guy starts treating him like a punching bag to the point where he's getting worn out from all the hitting. The system chimes in, asking if he wants to spend his 51 points on some upgrades. He boosts his stamina by 10% and keeps laying into Ficamir until he finally agrees to talk. Ficamir reveals he was told to trash the farmland to starve everyone, and he's still getting pummeled while he's confessing. Meanwhile, back at the castle, Kratos points out that Surathal is the one who cut off their backup requests, but he understands why as he gets stronger when the demons are starving. Zep chimes in, calling it an act of revolution, and thinks it might be an opportunity. If he can take down Surathal, the demons who've been grumbling about the suspension will see it as a warning. Kratos thinks that even if it wasn't a problem, those guys are still going to mess with his farming if he just leaves them alone. He's got a solid plan for dealing with them, though. Zep points out that the real issue is figuring out how to beat Surathal, since he can turn himself into a ghost. In the game, he was all over the place in the Cliff of the Dead, which is already a tricky map, making it feel like a constant game of hide and seek with him. If it's too hard to kill a pest because they hide, then you need to pull the pest out of their nest. Flute is staring up at something, and it's Asura. He asks her what's got her attention. She gets a bit flustered and tells him that she heard it. Because of his sacrifice, they all have food now. Then she thanks him. Asura is absolutely disgusted that he is being thanked, and he yells asking if she's mocking him, saying that he's going to kill her. Flute runs off screaming, while Asura is convinced that the moment he gets the chance, he's going to track down our boy and take him out. He has to hang tight because once he's free, it's game on. Then he hears Kratos shout for everyone to join in, and he wonders what's happening now. When he looks over, he sees Kratos throwing some kind of celebration because they just got the second lightning rod in office, who is none other than Ficamir. And they even gave him an umbrella, which is kind of cute. Azuret and the minions are dancing and laughing, celebrating how awesome this is. Azuret figures that since they have a second lightning rod, it means he's free too, and he starts crying happy tears, relieved he won't be stuck as a rotisserie chicken anymore. But instead, they just plop Ficamir right next to him, leaving him all confused, and Kratos immediately hits them both with a nasty blow. Azuret then realizes this just means he has 2 rods to deal with now. Meanwhile, Surathal is watching them get it over and over, and he can't help but tear up, saying he can't believe they did this to his boy. Our not-so-attractive virgin demon lord keeps delivering strikes. Ficamir is yelling loud as he gets zapped. Surathal is crying out for him, feeling the pain Ficamir is going through, but Kratos just won't stop. Ficamir's screams start to sound more like he's getting into it. Surathal, watching all this, yells at Kratos to cut it out. Then he glances to his side and spots a reconnaissance wraith from the game. A bird with a crystal ball that shows Sardathal is keeping an eye on things. That just makes him even angrier that Sardathal is trying to mess with his plans. He decides he's going to make sure Sardathal feels the consequences. The next day, Flute is digging around while Azura watches her. He notices her callous hands and asks what she's up to. Flute explains that since the Demon King, the 4 heavenly generals, and all the adults are working hard on the farm, she wants to pitch in somehow. Azura rolls his eyes and calls her a stupid, low-ranking demon brat, cursing Fikimir for plowing the field. He tells her she should do something actually useful. Flute feels great hearing that. She thanks Fikimir for plowing and for being their lightning rod too. Fikimir is touched and calls her a cutie, saying it makes all the hard work worthwhile. Azura chimes in with a jab about Fikimir already losing it. He then mocks them for trying to farm in such a wasteland, and says that the stupid potato they're trying to grow isn't even sprouting yet. He states that if they keep the potato storage warm, the sprouts will grow quickly. He tells her that everyone is going to starve to death. Flute hears that and takes off running, actually skipping along the way. Azura thinks a low-ranking demon is pretty much useless. At noon, Zep is starting to worry a bit about the Demon King's plan. He figures Sardathal probably knows about the trap they set up. He's not convinced that Sardathal would really come to rescue Fikimir. Our guy thinks Sardathal is more likely to send his subordinates first. He knows that if they want that idiot to come out himself, they need to eliminate every single one of his subordinates first. They are ready for battle. Kratos orders not to leave anyone alive. His army of farmers is already guarding lightning pole number 2. A reconnaissance raid swoops over them and Sardathal calls Kratos a fool. He thinks just sitting around and waiting won't actually bring Saruthal's minions into play. While he feels a bit sorry for Fikimir, Sardathal is laser-focused on his main goal, wrecking the harvest. He tells his crop wraiths to get moving, and they're heading straight for the potato storehouse. A bunch of Gecko-like minions show up, and they all charge into attack. Saruthal's yelling for them to smash every potato and turn them into mush. The crop wraiths head into the storage shed, clueless that it's just what Kratos anticipated. The crop wraiths are taken off guard. Our guy stands at the top and knows the wraiths are about to show up. With a sly smile, he greets them like they're already at their end. The wraiths are totally overwhelmed. He remembers the first time he came across these crop wraiths in the game, and it hits him hard. They're Sardathal's second elite squad, and the worst part, they always swarm together. If they even touch you, they latch on and start aging you super fast. Plus, they can copy whatever skills the players have. Such a pain. But our guy has a plan to take them down. He shouts out, asking who wants to get zapped first. All he needs is some lightning-based gear to take them out. The crop wraiths know it's a trap, so they pull back, but they have no idea what the real trap is that's about to hit them next. The crop wraiths see blood on the door, the blood of Kratos that got smeared last night. Now our hero kicks it up to phase 2 of his ability. He slams the ground and unleashes lightning that crawls through his blood, reaching for the smeared door. It strikes out into the air in a move called Wide Area Bloody Strike. At this point, the wraiths look pretty ridiculous, like little sperms. They get hit and scream even though they don't have actual mouths, but that doesn't stop them from trying to hit back. He yells and sends in the farm guards, his minions rearing for a fight, armed with their powerful sickles and rakes. They're so full of energy that they freak out the crop wraiths. The farm guards might not look like much, but they're the toughest units in the final map. Our boy knows the crop wraiths don't stand a chance against them. Feeling like a merciless, clever alpha demon king, he thinks he's totally made for this world. He scans for any wraiths that haven't been zapped yet and decides to take them out himself. But then there's this loud scream. Flute crawls out from the giant pile of potatoes, and Kratos is pretty shocked to see her. A crop wraith has its sights set on Flute. Her dad starts to panic, but he can't help her because he's busy fighting off the enemy. Kratos is feeling really frustrated with everyone being so clueless, but he knows he has to focus on the main thing, which is to take down as many of those escaping crop wraiths as he can. Still, he can't shake the worry about Flute. He's not sure how they'll reach her since Bloody Strike can't go that far. In a moment of desperation, he throws a potato at the wraith. He knows it won't do much, but it's all he can think of. The potato bounces off the wraith's head, and to his surprise, the wraith catches it midair. Suddenly, the potato acts like a pokeball and starts sucking in Kellyan, surrounded by a pink swirl of air. Kratos is feeling pretty lost. Then, out of nowhere, a sweet sound happens and a soul pops out of a potato. It bounces off toward the mountain of potatoes, and while everyone's distracted, the other crop wraiths make their escape. Our guy just stares blankly at what's happening. Suddenly, the potato sprouts up. He starts to connect the dots and realizes that the wraiths are speeding up the aging process. They kick the potato's biological clock back into gear. Then he grabs Flute and gives her this intense look that makes her shake a bit. He calls over the farm guards and tells them to ditch the plan of trying to lure Sorrowful out. Instead, they're going on the offensive from here on out. It's going to work better for them. As the sun comes up, Asura wakes up on his pole, feeling a bit lost about who he is and what he's even doing here. He catches a glimpse of the beautiful sunrise and feels thankful to be facing it. His stomach starts growling, and he realizes that even in this confused state, he's still got a hunger for life. Just then, he hears someone calling his name. It's Flute. She excitedly tells him that his tip about the potato sprouts paid off, and she scored a ton of chuno because of it. She goes on about how Kratos gathered a whole bunch of farmer soldiers, but honestly, Asura isn't really paying attention. All he can think about is munching on that chuno right in front of him. Asura freaks out when she sees the food Flute has. She knows he's starving, so she decides to toss him some. But instead of landing in his hands, it smacks right into his eye. He threatens Flute that he will kill her. Flute says sorry and promises to give it another shot. 3 chunas get tossed at the same time, so Asura has a decent chance of catching one. Only one ends up in his mouth while the other 2 smack him right in the eyes. He's teary-eyed but finds it super tasty as he chews. Then he gets a notification that part of his demon army is feeling happy, which adds a point to his score, bringing his total HP to 302. He's a bit puzzled because even with the new recruits from the last round who got chuno, he thought he'd have 300 demons, and one of them is that kid. He wonders who the other one could be but lets it slide, telling himself he'll figure it out later during a Sorrowful raid. He gives his shout-outs to farm guards to move forward and gets them pumped up by calling them a bountiful harvest. A few hours later, they reach the entrance to Sorrowful's turf. Sorrowful tells his guys to cut the bridge, and just like that, the rope gets severed. The raids start teasing the demons, asking what they're going to do now that they've got no bridge. But out of nowhere, our guy just jumps to the other side. The raids freak out for a moment, but then they see he didn't make it and is now free falling. They laugh at him for being silly, just jumping down like that. But then they stop when they notice parts of Kratos are actually stuck in the wall. His butt's hanging out again. Ultimate glitch is activated. The raids can't help but blush. Then Kratos turns around and then he turns again, giving them a full view of his butt. He's slowly creeping toward them, making it a weird chase while wearing a scary face. After a few more silly twists, our butt cheek king is back in action. The raids complain about how gross and ridiculous it is. Kratos then points at Zep, signaling it's time to move forward with the plan. Zep gives a slight nod, and Kratos takes off inside. According to his clever plan, the food wraiths should be scared of the potatoes, but if he rushes in solo and without any weapons, there's a good chance they'll take the bait. Sorrowful sends his food wraiths to attack since our guy is out there alone and unarmed. Even just bumping into Kratos means they win. The wraiths go for it. But our boy has a trick up his sleeve, the Quantum Leap move. Yeah, it's his glitch technique, and he's even named it. In a blink, he merges with the wall, leaving his butt sticking out, and then, poof, he's gone. The wraiths think Kratos moving like that is super creepy. They're wondering when he learned to walk through walls, and suddenly they sense him above them. They grab at him, thinking if they can catch him, they've got it made. But just like that, the Demon Lord vanishes again. It's the 19th time Kratos has been through this, so he's pretty much explored every inch of the map. If he could gather all the spots where enemies showed up, he'd be in the middle with the food wraiths all around him. Taking a deep breath, he knows they probably think that even as the Demon Lord, he's feeling worn out. But Kratos quickly sets the record straight. He's not the Demon Lord, just a veteran player. Zep suddenly shouts, telling everyone to get things moving. The farm guards show up and start hurling potatoes at the crop wraiths. Kratos jumps in too, ordering them to keep farming. It's like this big aura farming moment for him. At first, Zep isn't sure about the plan, but it clicks for him that the Demon Lords really know what they're doing. Earlier, Kratos had mentioned that while he rounded up the crop wraiths, Zep would lead the farm guards using the map. He checked out the map of the old aqueduct, which just seems like a dead end with nothing there. But Kratos insists there's actually something. He knows about a secret shortcut. After getting away from the creepy cliff of the dead and just before hitting the last map, he looked around and found something. At first, he thought it was detailed even though it seemed empty, but then he noticed a different texture on the wall. When he slashed it, the wall swung open. That's how everything connects. The tunnel leads from where they first fought Sorrowful to that cave. At first, he's puzzled about why he can't get in, but it turns out he needs to clean up the area first. Inside, he could find the elixir of metamorphosis. He gets a tip to grab it if it exists outside. The elixir is basically the combined soul of tons of dead meat piles. You can only use it once, and its effects are mysterious. Meanwhile, the farm guards are super happy as they gather the sprouted potatoes because that means it's planting time. Food's dad is thinking about her and how they can finally eat well. But seeing all this makes our boy serious. He flashes back to a time he was starving and an old lady fed him, promising a big dinner if he could just wait a little longer. The next thing he remembered was an ambulance. Kratos makes a sour face and drops a line that gets the farm guards pumped up. He says anyone who tries to mess with their chance to finally eat will be totally crushed. Then someone calls in the demon lord Baal. He mentions that Sardathul is pretty strong, so he's ready to help him out. Kratos tells Baal to just handle the potatoes since the boss is the one who should deal with the fighting. Meanwhile, Sardathul is busy calling on the great heart of Ice Spirit. He's praying to tie down and beat more spirits using the icy power to score more troops and strength. Out of nowhere, Kratos swoops in and kicks him from behind. Sardathul hits the ground, totally caught off guard by Kratos showing up. Kratos tells him that it is none of his business because now it is time to exterminate pests. Sardathul is crouched on the ground, looking smug as he calls Kratos a fool for thinking he can take him on solo. This dude's totally channeling Zeus because his form starts changing. He's about to show off his real power. Instead of freaking out, our guy just has this blank stare because deep down he's like, I've seen this nonsense 19 times before. While chasing Sardathul, who keeps darting through the cliffs, the player behind Aged Kimchi faces off against Sardathul's minions and wipes out pretty much all the cliff mobs by the end. Then Sardathul bolts into the room with the Heart of Ice Spirit, a super creepy relic made by an ancient dragon that sacrificed its life. It traps dead spirits in the world with its chill and frost. He tries to summon a bunch of followers with that power, but the paladin shows up just in time to kick off the final showdown. He taps into his true ability. At this point, Sardathul whips up a swirl of wind and admits that Kratos has some strength. The swirl starts to take shape, and suddenly, Sardathul looks just like Kratos. He's convinced he's got this in the bag. Kratos knows Sardathul's deal is that he can perfectly copy his opponent's stats and make them real. That's the endgame for this fight. At this stage, Sardathul has the same peak stats as Kratos, with crazy attack power and nearly broken evasion skills. One slip-up, and the opponent is done for. So Sardathul is trying to copy all the stats from the current demon king Kratos, but honestly, Kratos isn't as strong as he used to be. Sardathul charges at him, and Kratos gets the heads up to spend some HP on stat upgrades. He's sitting at 302 HP and decides to use 50 to boost his dexterity to 30%. Out of nowhere, Sardathul is shocked when Kratos dodges his attack with ease. Then Kratos throws a punch with all he's got, using another 50 points to raise his physical strength from 20% to 30%. When Sardathul meets his fist, he yells out that it hurts and can't figure out why Kratos seems totally fine. Kratos knows that winning isn't just about strength. Brains matter too. At this point, Sardathul's really angry. He tries to pull off this move called Bloody Strike, but Kratos counters by spending 50 points to boost his magic power from 20% to 30%. Then he also adds 50 points to his mental strength, bumping it up to 30%. They both unleash their lightning strikes, but Sardathul gets caught off guard by how strong Kratos' skill is, and boom, he gets electrocuted. Sardathul starts to melt down and turns into a puddle. Now he looks like a slime. Kratos just got the news that he used HP to boost all his stats by a tier, so now everything's sitting at 30%. Then he spots something out. He's completed his growth quest. As a reward, he unlocks a new skill called Summon Farmer's Throne, which costs 100 HP to use. The Throne of the Farmer King comes loaded with some solid farming gear, which is perfect since Kratos is in need of an upgrade. Even as a puddle, Sardathul can still chat, and he asks Kratos if he thinks it's all over. Kratos knows the deal. There's usually a phase 2 in these fights. Suddenly, Sardathul changes into this massive ancient evil dragon. It's his true form. Kratos is blown away. It looks insane. Standing in front of it, he realizes the attack power and HP are no joke. Not surprising considering Sardathul was the boss in the final area before the ultimate boss. But Kratos feels confident. That's when Baal and the farm guards show up. Kratos knows he just came from the final boss zone and decides to confront Sardathul about what he plans to do now. Sardathul freezes up, panicking as he sees the reinforcements and tries to suggest they hold off and talk things over first. But it's too late for that. The farm guards charge at him, all fired up to protect their harvest. They let out their frustrations on Sardathul for messing with their farming. Sardathul begs for mercy. Kratos knows he could take Sardathul down in a fair fight, but since Sardathul is still talking and moving, he feels it's not right to just kill him. He notices that everyone is too hungry to fight effectively. They've been giving Sardathul a beating for a while now, but he's still standing. Kratos figures they might need to up their game a bit. He then activates the Summon Farmer's Throne, leaving him with just 2 points left. The throne sends down a green beam of light from above, slowly lowering itself before crashing hard into the ground right on top of Sardathul. The impact creates a huge crater, and the farm guards cheer in excitement. One demon is pumped about the Demon King not letting Saruthal off easy and instead finishing him with a brutal head smash. They love how ruthless and savage he is, definitely a real villain. Another demon yells that that's just what the Demon King does and little guys like them could never pull that off. They start cheering for Kratos. Kratos joins in with the crowd, shouting to celebrate. Meanwhile, Fickamer spots something. With his boss out of the way, he knows it's his time to rise up. All the fields are ready now, and Lightning Rod number 2 has done its job. With that raid, they've wrapped up their main mission. The potato sprouts are finally up, and Kratos has cleared out all the pests threatening the harvest. With everything sorted, our guy shouts that it's time to plant those potatoes. Before they could bounce, the crystal on the pedestal shifted. Kratos catches it and realizes that he's finally finished his 20th attempt at taking down Saruthal on the Cliff of the Dead. It makes him think about whether he should pick up where he left off after 19 tries in the game. Then the system chimes in, letting him know he's earned a hidden event. Apparently, a sealed origin that was stuck in a Heart of Ice spirit has stirred from its misuse. The Heart of Ice starts to steam and slowly cracks open. As our guy moves closer, he can't believe his eyes. A cute baby blue dragon pops out. He's totally taken aback when the dragon spots him and cheerfully shouts, T-Bone. They're just staring at each other. The dragon's trying to figure out if this creature in front of him is his dad. Kratos reaches out, and the dragon seems kind of ticklish. He remembers hatching from his egg, stuck in the dark and feeling scared, but now he's just relieved his dad found him. That sense of relief doesn't last long, though, because then he catches sight of this ugly face. Kratos even thinks it's cute. The dragon starts to tremble a bit, getting scared. As they're leaving, the farm guards are yelling that they should just eat the baby dragon, which makes the little guy tear up. Kratos calls them idiots and points out they need to raise the dragon first to get more out of it. That realization hits the dragon hard. Maybe the guy he thought was his dad might actually want to eat him. But then Kratos stops in his tracks when he sees something. The demons are waiting for them, looking genuinely happy to see the farm guards back. Flute rushes over to her dad, and they happily reconnect with their families. The baby dragon's cheeks are all rosy from the warm vibes coming from everyone. He glances up at his dad and thinks they're not scary at all. But when he sees his dad's face, he does a total 180. Never mind, they're super intimidating. As night falls, the baby dragon is huddled up in a corner, shaking a bit. He tries to sneak a look and spots our boy's scary face. It makes him wonder if they're just waiting for him to grow up. Meanwhile, Kratos is caught up in figuring out how to feed the little guy. He's heard baby dragons chow down on fancy gemstones, but all he sees around are just piles of rusty old metal. Then Zep shows up with some news. He says they've run into issues while trying to build the ridges. To grow crops right, they need to set up these ridges or mounds along the edges of their fields, but they're stuck because their land is filled with rocks. The farm guards keep digging, but it feels like more rocks just keep showing up. The baby dragon thinks it's being worked to the bone like all the other farm guards, but really, Kratos is just cradling it in his arms. He's stuck on the fact that their land isn't a nice field, it's basically a coal mine. At this rate, they're never going to clear out all the rocks, and if they keep burning through their workforce like this, they'll run out of those tunas they set aside for rewards pretty quickly. Even if the other lords send help, it won't really solve the issues they have. Kratos makes a frustrated face and wishes he could be a character from a comic who could just summon a creature or something. He imagines a wombat that could clear rocks for them. Then he spots Flute digging in the soil, looking super determined. Watching her makes him realize he needs to stop complaining and figure out a solution. While he's lost in thought, someone shouts, Razor wins. Kratos goes pale. A massive tornado is barreling towards them, and it's moving fast. He quickly pushes aside everything else. He knows those Razor wind events can randomly pop up in the wasteland, and if they get caught in one, they're done for. Kratos yells for everyone to duck behind the rocks. They scramble to find something that offers a little shade and hunker down as low as they can. Kratos joins them, but even though the tornado is still pretty far off, the wind pressure is unbelievable. What he experienced in the game is nothing like this. This is a natural disaster. The biggest danger to their farming. While everyone else is running away, Flute is actually sprinting towards the crazy wind. Kratos spots her and realizes she's headed for Azurat. Her dad starts chasing after her, and our boy is pretty irritated with that little brat. Kratos ends up shoving the baby dragon into Flute's dad's hands. He tells Flute's father to protect the baby dragon, and he'll kill anyone who follows him. Ball shouts at him not to go in there because it's way too risky. Kratos gets that, but he can't afford to lose his precious lightning rod or his worker. Farming isn't some chill, easygoing gig where they just hang out and pick apples and pears. Flute is trying her hardest to move the pole, but it's not budging. Azurat tells her to back off. Kratos is thinking that farming is like going to battle. It's serious business. He yells at the kid to get out of the way. Kratos kicks the pole and it snaps. Azurath screams as he goes down, landing face first into the dirt. Our guy gets a nasty cut on his cheek. Even if Flute gets cuts all over, she keeps trying to untie the knot. Azurath warns her it's a binding knot. Even one of the 4 heavenly kings wouldn't be able to break it. He's sure she won't be able to untie it and tells her to just get out of there. Flute is caught off guard when someone grabs her. Kratos is juggling both the pole and flute and trying to keep it together. The baby dragon senses that his dad isn't doing too hot. He's bleeding everywhere. Kratos yells out and runs as fast as he can. The baby dragon can't believe how far Kratos is willing to go to help others, even in his state. The razor wind is coming in fast, and Kratos keeps pushing ahead, bleeding more with each step. Eventually, he trips and falls, pulling Flute in close while dropping the pole as he hits the ground. The baby dragon flutters over to his dad, seeing him as such a caring guy. He gets closer, takes a deep breath, and shouts, "T-bone." Then he unleashes a big blast of icy wind that clashes with the razor wind heading their way. Kratos could feel the intense wind starting to fade. He figured the baby dragon was using some cold energy to mess with the drafts, but the little dragon didn't slow down at all. Despite its small size, it was still kicking up a serious breeze. At that point, Kratos knew he was in over his head. There was no way a baby dragon should have this much power. The razor winds were closing in fast, but then 3 demons showed up just in time. They scooped up Kratos, Flute, Azurath, and the baby dragon, and hustled away as quickly as they could. After a while at the castle, our guy is finally catching some Z's after all the craziness he's been through. 2 demons, Sergi and Hartok, swing by to check on him. Hartok is determined that he will cut off Kratos' head while he is down right now. After this, Sergi's planning to get rid of those fools, Bull and Asura, so one of them can step up as the new demon lord. For now, they're on the same side. They're about to go for it and attack Kratos, but then they freeze up in fear. They catch sight of Kratos' freaky face and realize he's just staring at them with wide-open eyes. Even though they're terrified, they push forward with their plan, thinking it's their only shot. Bull and Asura chime in, questioning what they're up to. Bull tells them the demon lord is napping and warns them not to disturb him. Hartok figures that's supposed to be Kratos' sleeping face, and he gets why he's the demon lord. Bull warns that if they wake him, they'll be in big trouble. Hartok gets why the musclehead is acting like that and turns to Asura, asking if he's really siding with the demon lord who wants them to farm. For Asura, it's a totally different thing since he owes our boy his life from before. He's just trying to settle that one debt, but next time he'll be on Hartok's side. Hartok is trying to point out that planting potatoes has caused a mess of problems, and if the crops fail, they'll end up starving. Asura just shrugs it off, saying that's how it goes. He's thinking about the flute and how it'd be cute to plow the field with her tiny hands and a shovel. Asura insists that if they don't want to starve, they need to put their lives on the line. Since Azurath's already risking his life, he gets ready to fight. Fighting is more his thing anyway. Hartok can't believe what Azurath is saying and warns him he'll regret it, calling him an inferior fool. With that, both Sergi and Hartok head out. Once they're gone, our boy wakes up yawning and totally confused to see Azurath around. Azurath clarifies that he's not taking sides or anything. He's just paying back his debt this time. Then Kratos pops up, freaking out and asking why a living lightning rod is just strolling around like everything's normal. Surprised, Azurath looks at our boy, but then he gets zapped again. Bull takes Azurath with him and our boy into the field, and Kratos reminds them that there's no time to waste. They need to get everyone together and keep clearing the rubble. Bull mentions that the rocks are almost all gone since Zep is grabbing them. Our guy is looking around and gets confused by what he sees. Farmers are busy collecting rocks. He calls out to Zep, asking where all those rocks ended up. Zep says that if he means the rocks, they're over there. Then we spot the T-bone dragon flying around, stuffing his mouth with rocks and munching away. He's just gulping them down, thinking he's clever enough to dodge the razor winds, but he's not picky and eats everything. Now he's going to grow faster. Our guy gets excited when he sees him. T-bone swoops down to our guy, who's making some weird faces again. Razor winds don't hit often because they take a while to build up. If T-bone keeps an eye out from above and blasts cold air at the right moment, they can stop them ahead of time. It's a hassle, but without any weather updates, they don't have much choice. Realizing the fields are almost good to go, it's time to sort out the potatoes. Zep mentions that their stash of chunos is running low and asks if they should whip up more, but our guy thinks that's not necessary. He believes the biggest challenges in farming are natural disasters and costs. Those are the hurdles they've got to jump over. In her room, Sergi pulls out the helmet she usually wears everywhere. It's the first time we actually see her face. She's annoyed by the smell. It's been days since she went out and still hanging around. Suddenly, our boy knocks on the door and says he needs to talk to her. Surprised, since Kratos has never come to her room before, she replies that she doesn't have anything to say. He insists he really needs her help and urges her to open up. Sergi warns him not to get misleading, but he argues that not seeing each other's faces just makes things more confusing. She tells him to go back, but he's determined to come in. Sergi is just as irritated as he is, repeating that she has nothing to discuss. Then Kratos accidentally glitches, making Sergi freak out. Totally freaked, she demands to know who just barged into a lady's room like that. Our boy kneels down in front of Sergi, and she's totally confused about what's happening. He bows his head and tells her that he can't do anything without her. This makes Sergi blush a little. He thinks if kneeling will save him some trouble, he'll do it as much as she wants because he really needs her sharp blades. Flattered, Sergi says if he's going that far, she'll at least hear him out. They head over to the potato storage, and he asks her to cut up some potatoes for planting. Sergi gives our guy a cold stare and gets totally freaked out that this jerk just played her. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.